So, Tony, I first discovered you and your story through your relationship with Nick Bear and BPN. Your story is one that's very inspiring and has motivated me when I've not been keen on going to the gym. So, firstly, thank you for taking the time to come on. But secondly, could you introduce yourself to the listeners and give a little bit of a background about what you do, who you are, where you're from?
Well, thank you for saying that. My name's Tony, otherwise known as Focus Fight Finish. And yeah, I used to be 400 pounds, over 400 pounds, and just decided one day, it was mainly after I had uh, children, that I was just like, I need to change the way that this is going because I am not going to live very long. I had a lot of health issues at 400 pounds, as you do, and yeah, I just decided to make a change and to fight for my life again, and I did that, and I've lost over 100 pounds so far, and I've done 10Ks and 5Ks and a half marathon and a marathon, a Spartan race, and yeah, I am now, after making that change, I am now living a life closer to what I have always like imagined what I could do. So, yeah, that's a brief introduction, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for providing that. I think before we talk about you losing weight, it would be good to get an understanding of what led you to putting on weight. So, my first question is, were you overweight as a child?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, from like, I feel like I realized I was the fat kid in class probably in like second grade. I
Mhm.
started getting made fun of for being overweight. So yeah, it was probably second or third grade.
And then when you like defined yourself as the fat child, did you think that you would label yourself the fat child before other people could? You know, like you would make fun of yourself before others would.
That's a good question. I think initially I didn't really think about it. Um,
Mhm.
but then when this kid pointed it out, Paul, I see you. I still remember you, Paul Gothard. Okay. I
Name and
still,
shame.
I'm name and shame. No, he's a great guy. It's just kids. It's like,
Mhm.
what are you going to do? Um, I don't think before that I realized I was a fat kid, and then things just started clicking.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was wearing the same size pants as my dad in elementary school. You know, um, seventh and eighth grade. I mean, I was like wearing a size like 48 pant, and then by the time I got into high school, I was up in the 50s. So, I think initially I didn't know that I was a fat kid, but then once I did, I absolutely would make fun of myself first before other kids got a chance to. I would use comedy in a way to kind of break the ice and kind of take that away from them before they could
Mhm.
hit me with an insult. I would hit myself, and you think like that's like a solid a solid plan, but then you're really just training yourself to just be your own bully,
Yeah.
and that is something that I mean literally still struggle with. That negative self-talk is still something that I am so well versed in and so trained in. I feel like I have a black belt in bullying myself, and so that's just something that I've been learning uh, to try to unlearn, I guess.
Yeah, and I can imagine that once you label yourself as fat, it's hard to break away from that because you're by no means unhealthy whatsoever now. You're not a fat person anymore. And I can imagine that that sticks with you for life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I talk about it on my Instagram quite a bit because I want people. I'm very vulnerable in all my social
Mhm.
media. I don't try to hide behind like the jokes as I used to. I'll still tell a joke to deflect every once in a while, but I do try to be as vulnerable as possible so that people can see like this journey is not linear, and just because I've ran a full marathon doesn't still mean that not like on a weekly basis I'm not like talking negatively about myself, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I haven't really done much, and like, oh, it's whatever. If the scale goes up or down, I'm just like, you're just here you go again, you're just same old stuff. So um yeah, I try to open up and I try to be as vulnerable as possible so that people can see that and understand that, I guess to expect it.
Yeah. So was it emotional eating or binge eating that led to your obesity, or was it a case of overeating most meals?
Early on, it was just overeating most meals.
Hmm.
I kind of was talking about this with a friend who also has kind of struggled through weight loss and weight issues. But I grew up, a lot of my childhood was spent at my grandma's house because both of
Yeah.
my parents worked full time. And so I spent a lot of time at my grandma's house. And you know how grandmas are, they're just going to give you whatever you want. There's no rules at grandma's house. So I was eating insane amounts of food. My one of my grandmas gave me refried beans at 6 months old. Like, that's not really being
Yeah.
set up for success. So I just ate and ate and ate. And then I don't know if it was like I was like lonely, or I felt alone, or I felt like whatever it was back then. But, I definitely, if I was feeling emotional or stressed or sad or mad or happy, I would eat. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, wait, this great thing happened. Let's celebrate with, food. Or this bad thing happened. Let's feel better with food. And that adds up. And then it turned into a full blown binge eating disorder. I was like 20. I mean, I feel like I had binged before that. I definitely binged in high school, but I didn't really appreciate how traumatic it was until probably like college, when I moved out away from my family, and I could basically eat whenever I wanted because I was out on my own. Before it was like I'd have to hide, how much I ate and stuff like that. But if I was, living by myself, I could binge every day if I wanted to. Uh,
Mhm.
and, uh, you know, and I did a lot. So yeah, it definitely turned
Yeah.
into like a full binge eating
So you
disorder.
would feel you would feel sad, you'd eat food. How long would the food make you feel good for?
For as long as it was in front of me, and then as soon as it was
Yeah.
gone, you know, um, it's like you're so fixated on on the feeling of like doing the actual binging, the like actual
Hmm.
act of the binge. And I feel like what was the key for me was instead trying to focus on the post binge feeling. And I knew every single time, I've never binged and felt great after. Never, not
Yeah.
once. It's always, I feel great during it. It's like awesome. And then the shame and the guilt and the regret and that negative self talk, after a binge is massive. And so, that was a big key for me in helping curb those binges, was focusing on the after of a binge. um, but yeah, it's definitely difficult for sure.
Yeah. I'd like it if you could talk us through the physical effects that you felt obesity had on your health. So, like, did you suffer with sleep apnea, high blood pressure, heart problems? Elaborate on anything you experienced.
Yeah, I did have sleep apnea pretty badly.
Hmm.
I had to sleep with a CPAP machine.
Right.
um, And being in your mid 20s, sleeping with a CPAP machine, which if you don't know what a CPAP is, it's basically this big oxygen machine that sits next to your bed. Um, and you have a hose running in, and I would have the two hoses that go up my nose, and I'd loop it around my ears, and I'd sleep like that, which is crazy,
Yeah.
because I'm in my 20s. You could also have like a full face mask. I it felt like too claustrophobic, so I went with the nose.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's I don't feel, I was just like, this is embarrassing. Like it was just like a point of yeah, embarrassment and shame that I had to sleep with something like this, even though I knew I was young. It's
Mm.
25, 26, sleeping with a CPAP machine, having sleep apnea so bad that, I mean, there was times where I like would wake up just gasping for breath and like completely out of breath. I did a sleep study, and found out that I was waking up about 400 times a night, and having like
Wow.
micro wake ups, and it was it it was like this full circle. So it was like I would not get any sleep. I would just, even though I was sleeping, I didn't realize I was waking up, but I never hit that deep level of sleep. So then during the day, I was exhausted and I'd just feel like depressed and so tired. So then when you feel like that, you're just like, I'm just going to eat. So then you eat and you eat a lot and you eat late. And then you're watching, Netflix all night. And then you try to go to sleep on a full stomach, which also is not good. And just all this stuff. And it's like, it would just like repeat every single day. So there was a period of my life for like a decade where I was just tired all of the time. Um, and that's not a way to live. So the sleep apnea was one. I had high blood pressure, my liver was shutting down, I was pre-diabetic, my blood work was not good, my doctors are freaking out. It was just not like, none of it was good. I was down the path of, all the rest of my family. I've had six of my uncles and my grandfather, all have died from heart attacks. I have another uncle who died from sleep apnea. It's just not good genes to be tempting fate as far as heart disease goes. So, it's just something that was definitely on my mind. I just didn't think I was going to live that long. I kind of accepted that.
In your documentary, Obese to Marathon, which is a fantastic watch, by the way, I cried watching it. You said, quote, "One of the hardest parts about being obese isn't the weight, it's having to see the fear and the pain your weight causes in the eyes of the people that you love." Can you elaborate on that, please, Tony?
Yeah. It's never fun to like, worry your parents about your weight. It's not fun to be, bigger than way more than both of your parents combined. Like that's not fun. And so seeing my mom, my mom's a nurse, so she knows full well of the uh of the severity of the situation. I mean, it doesn't take a doctor to figure that out, but still, it's like she knew, like, you didn't have to be in the medical field at all to realize this kid's not healthy. But she knew very clearly, and it was her dad her dad, my grandpa, that died from a heart attack. So it was always on her mind, always on her mind. And then, my wife, I mean, God bless her. My wife and I have been together since we were 18, and we're both about to turn 35 next month. So it's been a minute that we've been together. And so she has seen me, back then I thought, I was obese back then when we first started dating. But then it was like after we got into college, I really, took it to the next level and went from like being 330, 350, and then I shot up to like 400 pounds in college. So she's been with me through it all, and so seeing her have to go through that and seeing her, invest her time and her life into a partner that's most likely not going to be around for a long time. And we both wanted to have kids, and so I know it passed through her mind, like, what is this life gonna be like I love this guy, but also if we have kids together and he dies at 40, like what am I gonna do? And I had to, we had some raw conversations about that, but she's always stuck by me, she's always supported me. And that's like it's incredible. But yeah, seeing the fear in her eyes and having those conversations with your wife is definitely one of the hardest parts, was one of the hardest parts about being morbidly obese, for
Yeah,
sure.
and you mentioned the raw conversations, and I mean, some of them are in the documentary, and I think for you to put that out there, both you and her, will definitely help a lot of people. So good on you for doing that, man. Really big thing
Thank
of
you.
you. No
Thank
problem
you.
at all. You've spoken about on your podcast about how you would withdraw cash throughout the week and then use that cash to buy takeout food, so there wouldn't be a financial trace of you buying the food. Could you talk about that process and perhaps about the guilt that you felt doing that, or if you did feel guilty at all, when you were going through that?
Oh yeah, yeah, lots of guilt, lots of guilt. I grew up Catholic, so I am chocked full of guilt. I I know all about guilt. Yeah, the guilt that you feel when, especially when you're dealing with someone who, like my wife, so supportive, so trusting, so just like she's always on board for all the crazy ideas that I always have. She's like, "You can do it. Let's do this." You know, and to sidetrack real quick, like when I said I wanted to run a marathon, she did not hesitate, and she was like, "I'm doing it with you." Like that is like,
What a woman.
I mean, she's incredible. She's incredible, and now that she's the mother of her two kids, it's just like, yeah, she's amazing. Um, so to then lie to someone like that, and to have this whole other part of my life that I was hiding from her, felt very shameful, felt a ton of guilt about that. So that's what definitely made it so hard. So yeah, I would do things so she didn't know, because I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed of how bad my binge eating got, and how I had let my binge eating get so out of control. I mean, it was just a free for all, and I always thought, okay, this week I'm gonna change. This week, Monday, I'm gonna start, and I'm never gonna binge again. And by Tuesday, I'm back in the Jack in the Box line. So, it is a lot of guilt, and I would try anything to keep it from her, like pulling money out. I would always think, well, if I'm checking out at Target, and I pull $10 out here, $10 over here, $10 when I get gas. She'll never notice, because we have a joint account. She's not going to notice, like, oh, $80 cash over the course of a few days is, you're not going to notice that. And so that's how I would hide it. And then I would pay for I would go to the drive-throughs or the donut shops or whatever, and I'd pay for cash, for the food in cash. And so there would be no evidence of the transaction. I'd eat all the food in my car, and I would just zone out, and and then I would take all the trash, throw it away in the parking lot, so there was no evidence of it. I'd have air freshener in my car so she couldn't smell the French fries or whatever. And I have gum in my, I was like a full-blown addict. Like, it was like I had gum to like hide my breath so she couldn't smell it on me. And and then to come home and then have to eat dinner with her, because I was doing this on the way home from work. So I'd leave work, I'd go for a binge, and then I'd go home and we'd have dinner together. And the way that I would explain, me having a binge, because that's a lot of time to like go through a drive-through, sit down, eat your food. That's at least an extra 10, 15 minutes, because I'm also, stuffing my face as well. So I'm eating pretty quickly, but I would just tell her there's traffic, I would, so that's like another lie. Oh yeah, just a lot of traffic. Because I would drive from LA to Orange County, which is about an hour commute. And, I would just tell her, there was traffic, and let's, that I get home and have dinner with her, which, it was crazy how long I did that for. It was crazy.
Yeah. I think the hard part about food addiction is that you need food to survive. If you're addicted to cigarettes, you don't need to smoke cigarettes to survive as a human being. But with food, you do need it. And if you've got a food addiction, flipping that switch and seeing food as purely fuel, I can't even imagine how tough that would be.
Yeah, it's I feel like, especially on the conversations I've had, like with different fitness and health professionals, and I've had some people tell me food addiction isn't real, and some people tell me that food addiction is real. I don't really know. I know it feels real to me. Even to this day, even after everything I've been through, after all the quote unquote success I've had in weight loss, that desire to binge is literally was here this morning, an hour ago, when I'm here
Mhm.
at home by myself, and my kids' snacks are in the pantry. That desire to binge is still there. It's just like a constant, mental battle where I'm like, it's fine. I breathe through it, and then it surpasses. But I don't know, that those urges are still around.
Yeah. So, how many times did you try to lose the weight before it finally stuck? And then what was the change for you? You've mentioned, drawing your son as motivation and health scares that you had, but can you remember the day that you mentally subscribed to the fact that you were going to lose it this time?
It was after my son was born. Like,
Mhm.
I had been trying to lose weight since high school. I've done it all. It, I did Weight Watchers, I did Nutrisystem, I did South Beach, I did Atkins, I did keto, I mean, you name it, I freaking did it from high school through college, through adulthood. I did all of it, and it wasn't until I had my son that it was finally like, okay. And I had success up and down throughout that time as well. I didn't just maintain 400 pounds. I had dropped down. I got down to like 300 pounds, and then I gained it all back, and I get down to 350, then gain it back. I get, just up and down. Typical yo-yo dieter. Um, but it wasn't until my son was born, and I had promised myself when my wife got pregnant that I was going to lose the weight, and then I didn't. And then I promised myself once he was born, I was going to lose the weight, and then I didn't again. And it was like, he was going to be turning 1 soon, and I still hadn't lost the weight. I still hadn't done anything to start fighting for my life. And then I read David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. I read Can't Hurt Me, and that book literally changed my life. I mean, I talk about it on every podcast I'm ever on. Like, that was the kickstart to everything, was reading that book. And I texted my wife. I was like, hey, I need to make a change. I have to do this. This is the time. And I'm starting tomorrow. Like, no, like, oh, I'm, whatever. I'll start next month, or I'll start on the 1st, or I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
All the bullshit that people say, that I said for my whole life. You know, none of that, this time. It felt completely different. I was like, I'm starting tomorrow. And I texted her, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by my son's first birthday. And it literally was 100 days before I was like 101 days when I was texting her this. So it was like, oh, tomorrow is 100 days until Ryder's first birthday. This is perfect. This is a sign. I just finished the book. I'm doing it. I'm dedicating 100 days to this. And I'm going to lose 50 pounds to at least get me started. I'm going to lose 50 pounds by my son's first birthday. And when I got home, she had written all of what I texted her. She had written it all on cue cards and put it on the wall for me. And it's just so, again, just the most supportive woman ever, a supportive partner I could have ever hoped for. And so yeah, I had that to look up and to see every single morning. And I had my son, and I had my 100 days, and it was like, this is it. And so that was easily the first time I'd ever felt like, okay, I finally like flipped that switch, and this is just the way my life is going to be now. I am going to
Mm.
be on a weight loss and fitness journey for the rest of my life. Um, and I was okay with that. And I was okay with that finally.
So, what did you do to lose the weight? How did you change your diet? What fitness did you add to your life? And had you done exercise leading up to this, or were you a total beginner to it?
I had done some exercise, like I said, and all the different things that I'd done, all the different diets and attempts that I had had. I had actually already ran a Spartan race early on.
Mhm.
I was like 23, I think. I had lost like 100. I had lost 100 pounds, and then I did a Spartan race, and I had a personal trainer. So I wasn't like complete beginner, but I didn't have any deep level of fitness or knowledge of, like, what, I don't know what anything really was. It was just kind of showing up to the gym and like lifting things up and setting them down and be like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
know. I did it, I guess. I just did whatever my personal trainer taught me. And, it's just like personal trainer, 24-hour fitness, not really like,
Yeah.
wasn't really invested in my health journey, So I was just, it was what it was. So when I started that, yeah, I would say I just started from the basics. Um, I usually what I usually do in life when I don't know how to do something, I just YouTube it. And that's exactly what I did. I went to YouTube and I started YouTubing everything. How to know you're in a calorie deficit, how to lose weight, what's a macro, what's a calorie, how much protein should I have? Like all this stuff I was just YouTubing and then just figuring it out along the way. Because I would reach out to people online and no one would respond. I'd send a DM to like someone that I looked up to in the fitness industry, didn't get a response. So it was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to do this on my own, and it is what it is. So yeah, kind of a beginner, but I had some basic knowledge for sure.
And how many times would you go to the gym in these 100 days before Ryder's birthday?
Every day.
Every day.
Every single day, and I did not, and I have not missed a workout since.
Brilliant.
Not that I go to the gym every day. Let me preface that. So during that first 100 days, I was like, every day, I don't care. I'm going to the gym. I don't care whose birthday it is, who's getting married. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. For 100 days, I'm being 100% selfish and focusing on this mission of losing this weight, because while it's selfish on, on the surface, like on a deeper level, I'm doing this for my family and I have to do this right now. And so, yeah, I went every day. But now I go 6 days a week, and not every day is like, I'm trying to like kill myself every day. There's, deload weeks and weeks where I'm, doing something different. I switch it up. It's not, I don't try to go beast mode every single day, because that is a very quick way to injure yourself, which I have also learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way as well. So
yeah, you seem to set yourself big fitness challenges that look like a way for you to hold yourself accountable. You say, I'm going to do a Spartan race, or I'm going to do a marathon. You tell everyone, therefore you have to do it. Is that like, do you believe that's the case for you? Is it for accountability?
100%, 100%. Yeah, because I feel like if I never, that was my problem before. Like I would set all these goals to myself, and I wouldn't tell anybody about it. And now I tell everybody about it. Anyone that'll listen, I'll tell you about the goals and what I want to do and all the things that I want to achieve, because I feel like as soon as I speak it, it has to be done. As soon as I tell someone I'm going to do something, I have to do it. I have to. I don't care I don't care what it takes, or whatever I have to do to get that done. I have to do it because I said I would. And that's very, it's very important to me to make sure that I'm following through, and not just, in weight loss, in life in general. If I say I'm, I don't know, gonna pick you up from the airport, I will be there. like whatever I have to do. Like I don't know. It's just like I take that pretty seriously, and so that's why I knew I took that seriously in other places of my life, in my job, or in my friends or family, or like whatever. So now I've applied it to weight loss, and I just tell everybody, and if I don't know, it helps for sure.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wanted to do this podcast for 3 years, and I didn't tell anyone, not even my partner. And then I DM'd about 10 people, and I had an imagined list of people that I wanted to have on, and you were on the original list.
Stop it.
Yeah, no, you were, because I had categories that I wanted to hit. So I've got like inspirational stories and so on and so on. And I messaged 10 people, and I said, if 3 people come back to me and they say yes, then I just have to do it. And I was so scared to post on my Instagram story the podcast episode, and I had to get my girlfriend to do it for me. And then she did it, and then it was out there, and now I absolutely love it, and I love doing the research for them. I'm now trying to put out 2 per week, and I just enjoy it so much, but I had to speak it into existence. Otherwise, it just wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Yes. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you for putting them on the original list. That's insane. And I'm so glad you started it. Yeah. What a good podcast name as well. It's perfect.
Thank you. So, when you started your weight loss journey, did you have people, if you went out for a meal with people and you ordered a salad, would people say, "Come on, man, get the burger, just enjoy yourself"? Did you find that people would try and sabotage you?
Yeah. All the time. Some of them were my best friends, where they'd
Yeah.
just be like, "Oh, come on, dude, live a little." Like, "Oh, you've changed." And I want to like grab them by the neck and be like, "Yeah, I
That's
have
the point.
changed." That's the point.
Yeah.
I have changed. I'm not interested in living that life anymore. I
Mhm.
know how that guy feels tomorrow, and that's why I don't want to do that right now. And that was like the same thing with the binging. That's really been the trigger for me. Um, like, I know how he feels tomorrow. I know what that future looks like, because I lived it for 30 years, and I don't need to spend another day living like that.
Mm.
But yeah,
Where
no, a
did
lot of people.
Where did Relentless come from? I know it's plastered all over your social media. I am relentless. Where
It's
where did
plastered on
that
me. I
come
have it
from?
tattooed on my arm. uh, yeah. So this is I wish I wish I had a better story for this, but it's so embarrassing every time I say this. I was a huge Rob and Big fan. I don't know if you know who Rob and Big are. It was a show. Huh, it was a show on MTV.
Right.
Robin Big, and then the Fantasy Factory. They were both shows centered around Rob Dyrdek, who was a skater and then became like this like very successful entrepreneur. So he had a tattoo on his arm called called Relentless. It was Relentless, and it was like across his whole arm was massive letters, Relentless. And I remember him talking about it in an interview or on the show or somewhere, and he was just like, I will not stop. I will not quit until I do the things that I want and until I achieve the things that I want. I won't quit. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care if I fail 100 times. I will not quit. And in my stupid teenage brain, I was like, yes, that's the word. And that's how I feel. And so, relentless then just became my favorite word. It just, and then
Mm.
obviously now it's not tied to Rob Dyrdek at all. But that's where it kind of started from. And he's kind of the first person that I guess introduced that word to me. But he's the first person that like put meaning behind it. And like I could see that word was important to him, and he was actually out living his life in a way that was, proof of that word being important. And so now I was able to apply that relentless mindset to other areas of my life that I found success in, and then I finally was able to apply that relentless mindset to my weight loss, and that was really like the last thing that I needed to do. I feel like to be happy, or to be at least okay with the direction that my life was going, because it was like I had a great family, I have great friends, I have a career that I love, but I'm still morbidly obese. Like, why can I not get
Mhm.
this thing figured out? And it wasn't until I applied that same relentless mindset that had gotten me all those other things. Now that I've applied it to weight loss, it's at least getting me down the journey.
Yeah. So you're wearing the BPN t-shirt. How did your relationship with Bare Performance Nutrition start?
Uh so like I said, when I went to, when I was starting this journey, I had to YouTube everything. I had to
Mhm.
YouTube, you know, just, anything fitness related. I was YouTubing. I was spending hours and hours watching videos, watching tutorials, watching trainers and coaches, trying to sift through the BS online and trying to be like, this guy doesn't seem trustworthy, not listening to him. This, she's just trying to sell me this product, not doing it.
Yeah.
And really doing my due diligence on like basically character assessments. And then I found Nick Bare's YouTube channel, And I was like, no, this guy seems like a very trustworthy. Like I got a good vibe. Right as soon as I watched one of his videos, he seemed to he obviously is very driven and
I
was
think it's the
putting
Southern accent, you know?
yeah, yeah,
It
you can
seems
always
trustworthy.
that's right, that's right. Um yeah, and so you know, I started watching his videos. He was training for his first Ironman,
Mhm.
and in the beginning of my journey, I had a really bad knee. My right knee still, I still have to watch it a little bit. Uh and so I was on the elliptical for an hour at a time. And I mean, if anyone has ever spent any time just standing on an elliptical or, you know, standing on a treadmill, it's so boring. And so
Yeah.
I was just like cooking through videos and Netflix and Hulu and whatever I could watch just to get me through an hour of cardio on the elliptical. And his videos did that. And I was just like, oh, this dude seems awesome. I started at the very beginning. I'm like, let's watch the first one. And, you know, within like a couple months, I had just ran through his catalog on YouTube. And yeah, I just became a huge fan of his, a huge supporter of his and of BPN and just everything he was going, you know, talking about and just his mission and his personal mission, his personal goals and how high he set the standard for himself. I wanted to be like that and I see him like so along my weight loss journey, I have had like you know these like titans that I look up to.
Mhm.
David Goggins obviously is the one who started this whole thing, so David Goggins is like on that Mount Rushmore for me. And then right next to him is Nick Bear. You know, they are both you know people that I've looked up to a lot over the past couple of years, and so when he posted on social media that they were taking ambassadors for BPN, first of all, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm not an athlete, so there's no way that this is ever going to work. So I'm not even going to try. And I didn't, and I didn't try at all. I missed the first application, and then they said they were opening it up again. And I thought, no, this is just so dumb. I would never get it anyway. I'm not going to waste my time. I got too much going on. I'm not going to waste my time for something that I know I'm never going to get. And it wasn't until the last day that that application was open. It was open for like a week. You could apply all week long. The last day, I had a meeting get canceled at work, and I was sitting at this time my desk was behind the wall, and so I'm sitting back there. I don't know why you needed that detail, but I'm sitting
Thanks,
back
Tony.
there. I know, I know. Let me draw you a map of my office real quick. So I'm sitting back there, and the meeting got canceled, and I was like, you know what? Whatever. I have an extra hour now. Let's just apply. Fine. So then I applied and, you know, went through the process and the past 2 years have been, I've been an ambassador for them for 2 years now. And it's absolutely in the best way has changed my life.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So you've been on a podcast with him, and then how often do you go to the headquarters?
So I've been in the headquarters 3 times now. And, yeah, they approached me and you know they knew I was running my marathon and wanted to make a documentary about it, and I was making a documentary about it as well, and so I was like, let's do this. This would be great. I've got a ton of footage. We'll kind of share footage. I'll give you everything. I've been documenting this journey for years, so
Mhm.
like, let's do it. And yeah, so they flew me out for that, and I got to meet Nick and got to meet the team, and I was on the podcast, which I don't know if I've ever been that nervous my entire life. I go back to the beginning, I'll re-listen to it, and I'm like, I sound so nervous right now. I was just like, so you know, it's like being in front of like you know one of the people that are on one of your Mount Rushmores, and he's just talking to you like it's just a normal day for him. I'm like, oh, this is so weird. Uh yeah, so that was really cool. And then actually I'm moving to Austin next month in July. And so I'll be able to go back to the HQ quite often and you know create more content with the team and with Nick and and Adam. Adam is he's the head of partnerships at the director of partnerships at BPN. He's just been like another one who I didn't know him at first, but then through BPN I've met, and now is like literally one of my best friends. Like I would die for this dude. Like he is such a freaking, well, maybe not die. I'd take a bullet though. I'd take a fleshy wound for this guy. He's just a great guy. He's just been so helpful, especially with us moving there. He's already been helpful. Like, they're great people, and they all have the same mission, and they all have that drive that just kind of stems down, from Nick. And it's just freaking so cool to be around. And I feel every time we have a meeting, I feel like a little bit of like imposter syndrome, because I'm like in a meeting with all these like supreme athletes. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I am so grateful to be in that group, and I'm they help me a lot every single week. I mean, my current strength training program is from another BPN ambassador who's a professional bodybuilder, and he's giving me a strength program, just helping me out. And like these group of people are just completely unmatched. They're just awesome.
That's awesome. So Tony, to finish off, I just want to ask you, what piece of advice would you give to an obese person who's tried to lose weight many times, but each time they try it, they feel like they fail and fail and fail? What would you say to them?
Until you die, it's not over. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you have, the best support system in the world. It doesn't matter if you have nobody. You still have yourself, and you are worth fighting for, and you just have to start. You have to start. You will figure out all the details along the way. I didn't know anything compared to what I know now when I started. And I just figured it out along the way. That's not the important stuff. The important stuff is just starting and not giving up, because there were so many times in my life that I had given up hope, and I just was said, okay, I'm going to die early, and I'm going to die the funny fat guy. That's just who I am. And my life is completely different now. And that all stemmed from just starting. And it's like, it's never over. And so, yeah, that would be my biggest advice, is just, it's never over, and you have to start, because the life that you're living, probably is not an easy one. It probably hurts to live. It hurts physically and emotionally to be that heavy. I was that heavy for a long time, and I know how that feels. And so, if you are listening to this and you're morbidly obese, please reach out, hit me up. I'd love to help people get started. I'm not a coach or a trainer or anything, but I'll talk to you and tell you what worked for me. And that's, really, that is like what I'm most passionate about right now, is just getting people started. And because, man, this journey has absolutely changed my life, and has given me so much more time with my kids, so much healthier relationship with my wife. It's just completely changed everything. Like I have a quote behind me. It's my favorite quote. It's, comfort is a slow death. And living that life was absolutely a slow death. I was just dying every day, and it was hard, very hard, much harder than what I'm doing now.
Tony, thank you very much for coming on. That was awesome, man.
Of course. Again, thank you so much for